My name is Emily. I'm 28 years old and I live in a quiet neighborhood in Brighton. From the outside, my life looks good. Husband, apartment, job. But inside, I feel empty. I married Leo 1 year ago. He's kind, patient, and always hopeful. He brings me flowers every Friday. He writes sweet notes for my lunch. He kisses my forehead every morning. He tries, but I don't love him. I married him to forget someone else. Alex. Alex broke my heart. And I thought Leo could fix it. I was wrong. Every day I wake up and pretend. I smile when I want to cry. I say thank you when I feel nothing. I act like a wife. But I feel like a stranger in my own life. That night on the balcony, Leo said, "I know you don't love me yet, but I believe you will." I didn't answer because I already knew the truth. I never would. Our apartment looks like something from a magazine. Clean, bright, quiet, a soft couch, matching pillows, books on the shelf, candles on the table. People say it feels warm, but to me it feels like a stage. Every morning Leo wakes up before he makes coffee and leaves a cup for me on the kitchen table. Sometimes there's a note. "Have a beautiful day, my sunshine." I read it. I smile. Then I sit in silence and feel nothing. I get dressed. I put on makeup. I go to work at the bookstore. I help customers. I organize books. I laugh when people tell jokes. But inside, I'm tired. Tired of pretending. At night, Leo talks about his day. He tells me stories. He asks about my day, too. I answer. I say things like it was fine or a little busy. I'm not lying, but I'm not telling the truth either. Sometimes when he looks at me, I see something in his eyes, a question, a fear. Maybe he knows. Maybe he feels it too. But he never says it. We eat dinner together almost every night. Leo lights candles, plays soft music. He makes everything feel gentle and beautiful. He tries so hard, and that makes it worse because he deserves someone who means every smile, and I'm not that person. Sometimes I sit on the couch after he goes to bed. I look around the apartment. Everything is perfect, but it doesn't feel like home. It feels like a beautiful box I can't breathe in. I smile a lot at work, at the coffee shop, on the street. People think I'm happy. They say, "You look so good together." When they see me and Leo, I nod. I thank them. And I keep smiling. But behind every smile, there's a little lie. And I tell it so often that sometimes I almost believe it. Every time Leo hugs me in public, I hold my breath. I smile, but inside I feel like I'm watching someone else's life, like I'm just playing a role, and I'm tired of acting. At the bookstore, my coworkers laugh and share stories. I join in. I talk about recipes and weekend plans. But in my head, I hear one question. What are you doing with your life? Sometimes I go to the restroom just to be alone. I sit on the closed toilet and close my eyes. No noise, no eyes on me, just silence and the truth. I don't hate my life, but I don't love it either. I feel like I'm floating, like I'm not really living, just repeating the same day again and again. One evening, Leo picked me up from work. He opened the car door, smiled, and said, "I missed you today." I smiled back, but I didn't miss him. and that made me feel awful. At night, I lay beside him in bed. He fell asleep fast. I stared at the ceiling and whispered, "I'm sorry." He didn't hear it, but I needed to say it because every day I smile at the world and cry inside myself. It was Friday. Leo always does something special on Fridays. That evening, I came home to candles. Soft music played in the background. The table was set. He cooked my favorite meal, chicken pasta with garlic bread. He wore the blue shirt I once said I liked. The lights were low. The apartment smelled like fresh basil. He smiled when I walked in. His eyes said, "I've been waiting for you all day." He pulled out my chair. He poured the wine. He toasted to us. I raised my glass. I said, "To us too." But I didn't feel anything. The food was good. The music was soft. Leo told a funny story from work. He laughed. I smiled. But inside I felt cold. Not angry, not sad, just empty. I watched him talk. His hands moved with excitement. He looked so alive, so sure, and I felt like I was fading next to him. After dinner, he took my hand. "Let's go for a walk," he said. So we went. We walked to the park near our apartment under the old oak tree where he had proposed to me 1 year ago. He looked at me with hope in his eyes and said, "Remember this place? I told you I would love you forever." I wanted to scream. I wanted to say, "Leo, I don't love you." I never did. But I didn't. I looked at the tree, then at him, and I stayed silent because I didn't want to destroy his joy, even if it meant destroying my own peace. We stood under the old oak tree, the same tree where Leo had asked me to marry him, the same place I had said yes, even when my heart was still broken. That night felt like a dream back then. There were fairy lights in the park. Leo held a small box in his hand. He was nervous, smiling, full of love. I remember the way he looked at me like I was the center of his world. He said, "Emily, you make me believe in forever." And I said, yes, not because I felt the same, but because I wanted to feel something, anything. Now, a year later, we were back in that same spot. But everything felt different. The lights were gone. The magic was gone. Only the tree remained. Leo took my hand. He said, "I still believe in us. I know it's been hard, but I believe in you and us." I looked at him. He meant every word. And that made it worse because I couldn't feel what he felt. Not even close. I looked at the ground, then at the street. I imagined myself walking away right then, right there, just turning around and leaving. But I didn't. I stayed because I didn't want to hurt him, because I didn't know where to go, because sometimes guilt is stronger than truth. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the floor beside the bed. I didn't cry. I just felt heavy. And for the first time, I thought I need to leave. I'm not built for this kind of love. It was a quiet Sunday, the kind of day where time moves slowly. Leo made pancakes for breakfast. He smiled across the table and said, "Emily, can I ask you something?" I nodded. He looked serious but soft. Then he said, "Do you want to have a baby?" I stopped breathing for a second. My fork froze in the air. I looked down at my plate. I couldn't look at him. A baby with a man I didn't love. How could I give life when I felt so empty inside? My hands were cold. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Finally, I whispered, "I'm not ready." He didn't argue. He nodded slowly, but I saw it, the sadness in his eyes. He didn't ask again. He just stood up and started washing the dishes, still holding my fork, still frozen. That evening, I wrote in my journal, "Leo wants to build a future, but I'm still trying to survive the present." I walked into the bedroom later. Leo was reading. He smiled at me. I smiled back, but inside I felt like I was disappearing again. And the thought of bringing a child into this life, a life built on silence and guilt, felt like the worst kind of lie. That night, I packed a small bag, just a few clothes, a book, my journal. I folded everything slowly. Each item felt like a decision. Each zip sounded like goodbye. Leo was asleep. He looked peaceful, like a man who still believed in love, like someone who had no idea his world was about to break. I stood by the door, bag in hand, heart racing. I looked at the doorknob. It felt heavy, like it knew the truth before I did. I turned back to look at him. Still sleeping, still smiling in his dreams. And that broke me. I sat on the floor next to the door, bag beside me, and I cried quietly. I didn't want to leave like this. I didn't want to hurt him, but staying was hurting me. The next morning, I woke up on the floor. The bag was still there, unopened, untouched. Leo made coffee like always. He kissed my cheek and said, "Good morning, my love. I believe in us." I wanted to scream, "Stop believing, please." But I stayed quiet again. I looked at the bag, then at him, and I realized I didn't leave, but I wasn't staying either. It was evening. The light in the apartment was soft. Leo was sitting on the couch with 2 cups of tea. He smiled when he saw me. "Sit with me?" he asked. I nodded. I sat beside him, but not too close. My hands were shaking. My heart was loud. And for once, I didn't push the feeling down. "I need to tell you something," I said. Leo looked at me. He didn't speak. He just waited. I took a deep breath. "Leo, I care about you. You're a good man, but I don't love you." I never did. He didn't move. His face was calm, but his eyes turned red. He spoke slowly. "I knew, Emily. I saw it in your eyes. I just didn't want to believe it." Tears filled my eyes. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I never meant to hurt you." Leo looked down. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I love you, Emily. I really do. But I can't be the only one trying. If your heart isn't here, I won't hold you back." His words were soft, but they cut deep because even when I broke his heart, he was still kind. We sat in silence. No yelling, no anger, just sadness. Real quiet sadness. That night, I slept on the couch. I stared at the ceiling and whispered. I told the truth. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew something inside me had changed. I had finally stopped pretending. The apartment felt different. Quiet, heavy, like the walls knew it was ending. I stayed in the guest room. Leo slept in our bed. We didn't talk much, but there was no anger, only space, only time. He still made coffee every morning. He still left a cup on the table, but there were no notes now. No soft good morning, only silence. One evening, I sat across from him. "I think I need to leave," I said. He didn't look surprised. He just asked, "Do you have a place to go?" "Yes," I said. Nana offered me her guest room. He nodded. He looked down. Then he said, "I'm not angry. I'm just sad. But maybe this is the right thing." Tears filled my eyes. "I never wanted to break your heart," I said. Leo gave a small, tired smile. "You didn't break my heart, Emily. I gave it to you, even if you couldn't keep it. And I don't regret that." The next morning, I packed a few clothes, my journal, a photo of my mother. I didn't take much. The apartment felt full of memories, even though we lived there for just 1 year. Leo helped me carry my bag to the door. He looked at me one last time and said, "Take care, Emily." "I will," I said. "Thank you for everything." I walked out. I didn't look back. And for the first time, I was leaving for myself. Not to run from something, but to walk towards something real. Nina's apartment was small, but it felt safe. I stayed in the guest room. I cried a little every night. Not because I miss Leo, but because I was finally feeling everything I had avoided. Guilt, fear, and something new. Relief. Days passed slowly. Nana never asked questions. She just made tea, turned on soft music, and sat beside me when I needed quiet. I started taking long walks by the lake. I watched people laugh, hold hands, walk dogs, drink coffee, and I started to wonder, could I have a life like that? Not perfect, but real. One day, I saw a flyer, creative writing. Wednesday night, 7:00 p.m. I don't know why, but something inside me said, go. The class was small, 8 people, different ages, different stories. We wrote, we read out loud. I was scared at first, but little by little, I found my voice. One night after class, I wrote in my journal, "I lost love before I ever found it. But now I am finding myself." Weeks passed. I found a small studio apartment near the bookstore. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I painted the walls light yellow. I placed flowers by the window. I made my own coffee every morning, and I sat in silence. But now that silence felt free. One day I opened a drawer and found the necklace Leo gave me, a small heart. I held it for a moment. Then I placed it in a box with a note. "Thank you for your kindness." I couldn't wear this, but I'll never forget it. I asked Nana to return it to him. She did, and that was the last piece of that chapter. Closed, but never erased. I still think about Leo. I hope he finds someone who loves him fully. Someone who smiles for real. As for me, I'm learning, still healing, still growing, but this time I'm walking on my own path. No pretending, no silence. I looked in the mirror the other day, and for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Not because I had to, but because I felt it. It's not a perfect story, but it's mine. And sometimes being honest is the bravest love we give ourselves. What did you think of Emily's story? What would you do in her place? Have you ever been through something similar or know someone who has? Tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. If you enjoyed this video and if you love emotional stories in English like this one, Please like the video, share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to get the latest updates. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you in the next story. Life is full of emotions, so live your story.